Salut everyone! In this video, I'm gonna share my findings after testing the Nvidia driver 570 series. And I'm telling you guys, if you own an Nvidia RTX, you're gonna love those drivers. I'm not even mashing my word. You're gonna love those drivers. Let's get into it. As always, let's start with a little bit of context. There is a funny story behind the release of this driver, or actually like behind the non-release of this driver. As we are speaking, the driver from Nvidia, the 570, they are not officially out. But Nvidia did push those drivers for the developer, for the latest like CUDA version, for them, I guess, like to get into it. And a lot of users on internet were able like to find the link, and now everybody has access to those drivers. I think it's pretty funny because even if they are not officially out, we were able to test them. So long story short, yesterday around like 10:30 p.m., the team of CachyOS were aware of the driver, repackaged them, and distribute them for the community. This morning, just before I started my stream to do my usual like Friday stream, I got the news and I installed them and they were working flawlessly. But more to that, like pretty soon. I thought it was kind of funny to notice the fact that we were able on Linux to test features which were not supposed to be even out yet. And spoiler alert, those features are working on Linux. Day one, actually like day minus, I don't know, like 10, I guess. So this is pretty insane. So yes, you heard it certainly before watching this video. Nvidia is going to release the 5090 in 1 week, around like 7 days, 8 days. And what is actually crazy about this new release is like most of the uplift come from the software side. And I have to tell you guys, like I was totally wrong. I was totally wrong because I never thought that most of these features will be available day one on Linux. And you will see later in the video, they are. At least like most of them. I don't have the actual like hardware to test all of them. But I guess like the most important for you and I who are still like running a RTX card versus like people who are gonna run like the next generation like in 8 days from now. There is a lot of good news for us. Like I don't know if you see it on my face, but I'm pretty happy about what's going on right now for all the Nvidia users out there. The first good news, and in my opinion, like one of the best out there, is the fact that those drivers, the way they are packaged right now, they still contain the open module and the closed module. So what it means like we are not getting pushed toward like the buggy open module. It's getting better, we'll talk about it after, but like if you have issue like I have, you will still be able to use the closed module to have like the best experience on your Linux operating system. And this is great. So I was kind of worried when I made this video about the difference between the open and the closed module, because on paper it was supposed to stop like with the release of the 570s driver, but it did not happen. So this is kind of a relief for me. And it kind of shows that the Nvidia team is aware of the issue and is willing to continue like to push the dev for the GSP firmware. If you don't understand a word of what I'm saying, I made a video about like a deep dive inside those Nvidia driver on Linux for you to understand the different like subtle parts which are like moving on with the driver. But long story short, we are good. And apparently we're going to be good at least until the release of the 600 series. We have like 5 cycles to go through before we are like kind of like obliged with the open module. Another news from the patch note I need to share with you guys is the fact that the Maxwell, Pascal, and Volta series architecture is going to be frozen within the driver. So this driver and maybe the last, like the next one, so 575, are gonna be the last one to officially like, support those series because it's gonna be frozen in time. So yeah, if you have one of those cards, well, it's gonna be time to upgrade or just use like this driver or the next one. What come out also from the patch note is the fact that Nvidia is also like ironing out a lot of bugs related to games themselves. So when you go through the patch notes, you will notice that games like Indiana Jones, Civilization 6, Assassin's Creed, and other like features related to virtual reality in general, like VR, are going like fixed. It's a lot of bugs apparently were annoying like some of the users, but they are like working really hard to fix them. And this is a good news, really good one, because it shows that they are like willing to improve the driver for each iteration. And yeah, that's pretty nice. Now let's talk about the big one, because now we just cover like the small one. Now let's talk about the big one. So before we move into like the big topic, I want to say that all the image you are watching right now related to gaming have been done on Linux with my CPU, which is a 5950X, and my GPU, which is a 4090 RTX. I've been using like Proton experimental bleeding edge, and I used the closed driver with GSP Firmware off. Okay, super important. And the Linux distro I've been using is CachyOS. That's my main distro. That's the one I use every day. So the first big plus of this driver is the fact that now on Wayland, you're gonna have access to G-Sync or VRR for, you know, like the other way to call it, but G-Sync with multiple monitor. I did try it and it works perfectly. There is one little issue related to the fact that when the frame rate goes like really low, it kind of flickers a little bit on the screen, but it happens only like during the loading. I'm pretty sure they're gonna be able to fix that, but I noticed that while I was like loading my game. Otherwise, the experience is top notch. I checked it up. I have multiple screens here. I have like 3 screens at 270 Hz. And yes, VRR G-Sync is now working on Linux Wayland with the Nvidia card and multiple screens. Like this is a banger. So 2 things I need to mention there. I was able also to mirror my main screen for streaming, even if my capture card was not using VRR. Okay, I repeat, my capture card didn't use VRR during the capture, and I had no issue mirroring my main screen and streaming it. This is really good. And in terms of like usage, like as you feel, you know, when you alt tab and when you actually like game and everything, I have to say like the experience here is better than on Windows, because I do stream also on Windows when I do some tests on Windows, and the alt tab experience when you have like mirroring done for capturing your content on Windows is just a pain. You have like this like effect on your screen when you have to wait and everything kind of freeze. So here it's still present, but it doesn't last long at all. It's like, I would say like 1/4 of a second where you have like a little freeze and then you come back. So it's almost like smooth. And on Windows, it will be like 2-3 seconds. Like you alt tab and it's like nothing move and you have to wait, and then your mouse move a little bit. And then when you go back into the game, it's like here, it's like super smooth. So it's a Linux win. Like, good job, guys. This is literally awesome. I'm so hyped. Now, the second good news. This one is a banger. And I don't understand why some of the marketing we have been hearing since CES 2025 coming from Nvidia, why they didn't end-phase this feature related to DLSS 4. So first things first, DLSS 4 use a new way of upscaling, okay? Like it's a new technology and they call it like transformer. The game I've been like benching and testing is Cyberpunk. The game has been patched yesterday, and if you were like launching the game on Linux before those specific driver, you would see like you would get stuck at the loading screen. But now with the driver, you can go through the screen and have access to everything else and test everything else. DLSS 4, what come out of it is that if you run DLSS 4 with the performance preset, you will get the same like visual qualities than if you were using DLSS 3 in quality mode. Okay, so I don't know if you get what it means, but you could game at a lower resolution and still have the same output on your screen with this technology. So I repeat for everybody to really understand, DLSS 3 at the quality preset equal DLSS 4 at the performance preset in terms of visual feedback on your screen. Like, it's really hard to distinguish between one and another. The good news is that DLSS 4 works on Linux. And what it means, whether you are using RTX or not, whether you are using ray tracing or not, whether you are using frame generation or not, because you are now able to upscale like way more, you're gonna get more FPS with the same quality on your screen for the supported game. So what it means you're gonna have an upgrade, and I'm gonna share the number after. You're gonna get an upgrade in terms of FPS without buying new hardware, but just by upgrading your driver. Boom! Like, dude, why are they not talking about that during the CES? Like, why did they not put the emphasis on that? So I'm guessing because they want to sell more like card, which makes sense. This DLSS 4 is available for all the RTX cards, right? So if you are running RTX 2080, you're gonna benefit from that. And if you are running this card on Linux, you are also gonna get an uplift from those drivers, which is just awesome, chat. Like, guys, this is awesome. Let's get into the number. For my testing with my card, I got an uplift of 17% through the benchmark. Okay, 17%. It's not a 2% or 5% uplift. This is 17%. And we made some tests with the chat during my live stream. I'm going to put a link in the description below if you want to see the full review. And it's really hard to distinguish between DLSS 3 quality and DLSS 4 performance. I was not able to do it. Like, I was gaming, I was not able to do it. The second point, which is super important, is the uplift in general. I didn't do like all the tests for comparing before, after, because I don't want to do that. I just took like one and I compared it, and the 17% came out at 1440p with my material. I'm really curious to see how much you're gonna get out of this update. But the other part, which was like super important, is like I was able to reach 207 average FPS while running RTX Ultra setting. So ray tracing Ultra. So not with path tracing. I think with path tracing, I want to be like a little bit under, like around like, I guess, like 150, 130 FPS in the bench. But you have to think about it, guys. Like, this is crazy because you gain performance overall, and you gain latency because your base resolution is so low that your latency is also lower. So not only you gain pure average like FPS, but you gain also like a better like input lag in general. So it's still not as good as if you were running native, but I would say like the gap now is so small that it's actually really, really good. Like I know I sound really hype, but I really like advise you to try. I don't know if the gap is going to be as big on your graphic card, but it's worth the try, and it's also free. So you just have to upgrade your driver, and you will be fine. It's just so good. So now I'm talking about upgrading your driver. There is definitively distro right now which are like ready to push those drivers. I do believe like as we speak, it's less than 24 hours before the leak of the Nvidia driver from Nvidia. I don't think the team of CachyOS is gonna push it right away, but you can go on their Discord and grab the command to install it. It's not hard. Just go there, install them. For the other, just wait for the release of the driver. If you want to package them yourself, you can do it. I'm not going to do a tutorial about that. I don't think I need to do it. If you want to go and, reinstall them and try, maybe get a second SSD, put CachyOS on it, and it's going to be easier than repackaging and doing through all the different phases. I'm guessing, like, as I speak, like the Nobara team and maybe Bazite, I'm not sure, are working on it. So you're going to have them pretty soon. Don't be impatient, like, just wait. watch my results and just like enjoy. Like this is really good, guys. Like this is really good. Now another point I also need to mention. One of the big weakness of the Nvidia driver on Linux is DirectX 12. So I did try that too during the stream with Black Myth Wukong, and I noticed a consistent uplift on this game by just upgrading the driver. So this is good. The uplift is not crazy. It's around like 5.7%. You're gonna tell me like, yeah, but Air Max, we are still like 19.5% behind Windows when using, you know, Nvidia card on Linux. And I say yes, but a 5.7% uplift in one generation driver, knowing you have like a new generation every like 1 month, 1 month and a half on Linux, it's pretty good. It's actually awesome because if we continue at this rhythm, we're gonna reduce the gap before the end of the year. So think about this. Okay, think about it. It's not perfect. I agree with you. There is a lot of other problems I'm gonna mention, I guess, in the outro, but we are getting there, and this is a really good sign. Now let's talk about the GSP. I did try the driver, closed driver without the GSP, and then I reset up everything to have the GSP firmware enabled. And I wanted to see if the firmware itself was better or even ready to run the game with all the features. Guys, it's not ready yet. Okay, it's not ready yet. My finding is like there is optimization that has been done. So some of the bugs I had on my desktop, they disappeared. My windows are not like stuttery anymore. When they open, they close, or when I move the mouse on my desktop. So this is a big thing. And again, like those issues does not exist at all on the closed driver. I'm just talking about the GSP firmware enabled here. This is an improvement, definitively, but I still have a loss of performance within the game. So here I noticed it was around like 20%. So if I launch the game with the GSP on, I'm gonna get like 20% less performance than without GSP at all. So I think they're still working on it, but it's not there yet. And the second thing also is I noticed is like when I enable like frame gen with the GSP on, I was not able to get extra frame. I actually got less frame than when I didn't have frame generation. So yeah, there is something off with it. Maybe it's just with my model of card, because I heard like some other users, they were enjoying it. But for all the users out there who want to try those drivers or just want to try Linux, make sure you have a distro that gives you the opportunity to switch the GSP on and off pretty easily. Like, it's kind of important. And I'm going to repeat it again. NVIDIA will not enforce the open module and the GSP until the release of 600. So I'm pretty sure on their hand, they are aware of the issue and they're going to be iron out everything. Me, on my side, I'm going to continue to write posts on their forum. Guys, every time I had an issue with the driver, they fixed it. Okay, it took some time. One of the release was like for 1 month and a half, I had issue, but they fixed it the next release. The more we are testing, the more we are giving like feedback, logs, and the more they're going to be able to work on them. So if you have any type of issue, like just do the same, share, because you want those issues to be ironed out before the release of 600, because there you're going to be in real trouble. So here we are. This is, to me, another banger of a release. It kind of make me remember of the 555 release driver when we finally had access to Wayland. In this one, we have DLSS 4, which is a pure like improvement in terms of performance. It's available day one on Linux. Awesome. You have VSync with multi-monitor, which is now available on Linux with Nvidia. Awesome, like crazy good. So we are moving a step more toward a place where Linux can become a more accessible platform for the gamer, but also for the competitive gamer. Okay, because think about it. With G-Sync, you're gonna get a way better like competitive experience, less input lag. Because again, I don't want to explain G-Sync, but for people who actually play, they know like G-Sync help on this side. It's not a massive gain, but it's still better than nothing. Now it's available on Linux. I did some tests on Marvel Rivals too. It was really good. It feels really, really smooth. So this is for me like a big win. You got like directly like an improvement in terms of performance with this DLSS 4, which come out of the bush, out of nowhere, and give me like a 17% uplift in FPS. Like, think about it. And a better input lag. Hello? For zero, like for free. It's awesome. I'm kind of in a really good mood. I won't lie to you. I know it's not perfect. I've heard yesterday that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was released and was compatible with Linux day one, but was not running on Nvidia, which kind of sucks. I have to say it, like it sucks. It's not perfect. There is still like work to be done. But what I like to see is the improvement, is that the team is actually willing to move forward. And guys, this is a banger. Like, there is no other word for me. This is a banger. We are getting there, and it kind of like give me a lot of optimism for the next step for Linux. Because just a reminder, guys, Nvidia and some other like company are kind of like the reason why SteamOS is behind, right? SteamOS was not released. They didn't even think about it because Nvidia is having trouble, like, you know, it's complicated. Like, it won't give the Windows experience if you are an Nvidia user, if you install SteamOS right now. So me watching like Nvidia slowly, step by step, but smartly, like getting into that direction, tell me that we're gonna arrive at a point where SteamOS will be in a state where it will be good enough to be released to everybody out there. And the day is gonna happen, I think the vision of Linux in general is going to change like drastically. That's my take. So even if you are, you know, Nvidia user or not, Nvidia hater or not, this is a really good news for the Linux community. I'm telling you guys, because most of the gamers out there, they are using an Nvidia card. Like what, like 80% of them. So anyways, like I'm super hyped. As you can see, I was like a child running like Cyberpunk at 200 plus FPS, maxed out with ray tracing. Dude, like what is happening? Like it is crazy on Linux. On Linux. Anyways, guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, thumb up. I want to thank all the support I got through this channel. You guys are the best. Thank you very much for everything. And as always, see you in the next one. Bisous, bisous.